seeing him coming.
Tree protection fence detail,
Which one's that?
page 107.
Okay, we're recording. So you can-
Oh, the one you're talking about, that tree.
Yeah.
He wants the arborist to look at it on X-107. Other than that, they're not indicating any other reductions. Several plantings.
So, may I speak to the tree? I'm-
Ready, we're starting.
Meeting is now called to order. We do not have a quorum at the moment, but we will start the meeting and hopefully we get one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take the agenda out of order, if I may, because I have to leave early. I have a wife who is not doing well tonight, and I have a vice chair, co-chair, who's better man than I am. So you will take my place. We're going to move to number 4. Mr. Field, will you explain to me how you are going to avoid taking down the tree in the front of the house?
I will.
think
Can I share a screen so I can share the plans?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let me make you, yes, sorry, hold on one second.
That's the front
It's
on
at
the side.
It's at the side rear of the house. I will get my plans here. Make this full screen. Okay. So Camilla from City Planning is here with us as
Yeah.
well. And Danya from my
Please
office.
go to sheet X00200 and look at the very top of the sheet, which is the left
So-
side of the house facing forward.
I'm gonna
Tell me how you're gonna avoid cutting that tree down.
Yes. This tree we will look at in a second. I'm making a purple dot on it. The front of the house is here along Iceland. This is the rear of the house. It's a steep slope. It's a sloped site that falls away from the street so that these pavers and this area that we fenced off as a staging area, this is all existing, is a full story below the ground floor of the house. You enter the house here. This is presently the kitchen. This is a deck off of the kitchen. And we are proposing to extend the kitchen by 70 square feet. And I'm going to go to some pictures real quick so we can look at the area where the work is happening. So now I'm going backwards if I can get this, sorry. So now this is T002.00. The area we are working in is here, up in the air, above grade, at the adjacent kitchen. That's this area right here. You can see the large 28-inch oak standing. We're actually going to bracket off of the existing foundation. And I'll scoot ahead to some sections so we can see how that works. So that we don't touch the ground. There's a small section here in our zoning at the lower right of Z001. And then if I move ahead a few pages, you will see a better section that shows this existing, the new proposed kitchen addition. And what we're requesting from city planning is relief of the zoning setbacks for this de minimis area to keep this construction in line with the original dwelling. And that's how we're going to avoid hurting the tree. There's a steel bracket, there's an engineered bracket, it brackets off of the face of the building and is compatible in finish with the existing house that's frame and stucco on the exterior.
Now, what is the status of your discussion with city planning?
City planning is moving this forward. This is, I mean, I could let Camilla answer that if Camilla's on with us. But that it is being referred to for approval on Wednesday.
Can everyone hear me?
Referred to-
Hi, Camilla. Yes.
Hi, John. Nice to see you. Yes, like
Likewise.
John said, we will be referring this out officially to the community board on Wednesday.
Nick is on the way, he'll be here in 15 minutes, if you can wait. Form, yeah.
Now, there was some reference in here, I can't put my hands on it at the moment, that you are consulting with the arborist on various other issues. Am I correct?
No. The only place that appears is on our tree sheet, which is getting there, where we have tree calculations here. We have our usual what we call a soft X. And that is, sorry, just trying to annotate, that's not working. So that is this tree here, our large oak, and we have it delineated with a soft X. And that we, per the arborist's evaluation or recommendations, that tree will remain because we're not disturbing the soil. But we cannot, under city planning rules, count that as a live tree. Therefore, we are going to be adding 6 trees to meet the tree count requirements of the natural area regulations. Those are all here.
Has the arborist rendered an opinion yet?
Yes, the arborist was consulted back in the beginning of this project, and
And
we're
he
not
says
apologies, I didn't
you
mean to
have a
interrupt.
written opinion from him.
I can receive one if we need.
I think that would be helpful. It's the issue that bothers me.
Understood. We are not counting it as a live tree for city planning's purposes, and obviously our clients care very much about the tree.
So will you please get for us a copy of the arborist opinion?
We will get an opinion from the arborist and send it to the community board, yes.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Gunn.
Mr. Field, you, just about 4 minutes ago, you mentioned the issue of an exemption from a setback for this cantilever, area. What setback is in conflict? Because it looks like it's
Still within the same confines.
Let me just zoom in on this. It's within the confines of the house, but as everything in Riverdale and Fieldston, it's all happened a little bit before zoning. The house outline is presently here in purple. In fact, we have, sorry, I drew that incorrectly. It's too small. The present house outline is here in purple. And then the kitchen comes out here. We are aligning with the existing kitchen and the existing sidewall.
right.
Okay, so we have a setback at the side yard, which is shown here. And we have a setback at the rear yard, which is this heavy line here. And this addition is slightly over those.
So, how do I describe this? So, the top is north, right?
The top is north, yes.
Okay, so that last, say, 20–30% of the addition, you're saying extends beyond the existing house line and therefore encroaches on the setback?
No, it is aligned with the existing house line, which already encroaches on the setback.
Which already encroaches on the setback.
Yes, as
Okay.
does the rear piece of the house,
Of
the
house.
rear piece of the
So-
kitchen there. And we're talking 3 feet. We're not, this is not a huge
So are you
encroachment.
asking city planning for any action in connection with the
Yes.
encroachment on the setback?
Yes, the authorization is pursuant to zoning resolution 105-432 for modification of the rear and side yard requirements.
And as I understand it, I thought I heard it will be acted upon hopefully on Wednesday, is that correct?
Did somebody admit our client Samantha? I just saw that.
Ms. Thomas said that, yes, it
Hopefully.
would be released.
Good.
Yeah, Samantha's in.
Hi, so I apologize for my delay in joining.
That's okay. I'll introduce Community Board 8 to Samantha. She is our client. This is her home. We are talking about the kitchen addition, Sam, and the setbacks and the requests from city planning that we're doing for modification of the setback requirements.
Great.
Is there a neighbor to the north of the property?
Yes, there is a neighbor to the north of the property. We've notified everybody of this hearing and the application as required by the community board.
Okay, I don't see that the neighbor to the north is going to be inconvenienced by what you're doing, but just the same, have they responded to the notification?
I've had no response. And I don't know if you've heard anything, Sam.
No, I have heard from some neighbors, but not that one.
And one other question, this property falls within the FPOA, right? Within the Fieldston property owners?
Correct.
And are they involved in any of the conversations?
They've been notified and have been given the materials and have expressed no comment. And this is also a landmark district. This is approved at staff level because it's within the district master plan guidelines.
I'm sorry, did you say it was approved at the staff
It
level?
is in process. We've been told they're approving at staff level because it's in the district master plan guidelines.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any idea as to whether you will be receiving from staff or anyone else any writing indicating approval?
Oh, yes, they will indicate approval. They have to before
When
this
is
is
the
a
board meeting?
14th.
14th?
Yeah.
All right.
A week from tomorrow.
Any more questions?
Marty has.
Marty?
My question has basically been responded, but I do not see in this, any page, and please direct me, a contextual map as to who the neighbors are and how they relate to the property. There are no pictures, there's no drawings.
We have a neighbor here.
I live in the neighborhood, not on the street, and I think it's a very fair request. You know, it is asking for a dispensation in terms of the side and rear yards, but it's not a greedy request, you know what I mean? I think it's at the back of the property, it's not affecting the whole neighborhood, which is why I came, because there are people who are asking to do more than they're permitted to do, but they're greedy in doing so. And I really feel that this, I'm an architect as well, and I just feel that this is a very fair request. It's, you know, they could ask for a lot more than that if they were greedy.
When you say you're in the neighborhood,
Yes, I live one block over, yeah.
do you see the house from your house?
No, I can't. But I'm very concerned about applications that are being made to your community board, to the city planning, to the building department, where people are asking to do more than they're permitted to do, just because they want to do more than they're permitted to do. And here I feel that, you know, it's a very reasonable request. They're not asking to take down trees, they're not affecting rocks, they just need a bigger kitchen, you know what I mean?
I'm just curious, and I'm done. It was indicated you heard from some neighbors, not from others. What was your reach out effort to hear from all of them?
Oh, no, I didn't reach out to anyone. I think just a number of people must have seen the notice for the meeting and congratulated me prematurely on my new kitchen.
We had sent notices to the adjacent properties and all of the homeowners within a 200-foot radius.
David?
Do we have the right to ask for a sign off from the north and west neighbors?
Sure.
I think we should. I think.
Mr. Field, if you will take pencil, it's an old-fashioned tool, but it helps.
Got it right here.
In hand, and make the following,
Okay.
notes, please. One, if you can, please make an effort to secure some form of written sign-off from the neighbor to the north and to the west. Number two, please secure the arborist's opinion. 3, please notify us whether and if so, with what conditions, if any, landmark staff, they're gonna, make 3, see if you can get the written sign-off from landmarks, right? And number 4, let us know exactly what is happening with city planning, in terms of if they have signed off on it or raised any concerns or conditions, all right? And
Well,
I would ask you to...
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I think,
would ask
I'd-
you-
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
I was gonna ask Camilla, who is here, well beyond the hours of anybody, to talk with us about city planning and the city planning approval process, because they are approved. So if we're gonna have a conditional approval, I'd like to take as many things off of that list as possible.
Sure, I can speak on that. Yes, I am. And sorry, I didn't see it before. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so same way that I said before and that John said, the application has not been referred out to you guys yet. That will happen on Wednesday. When that happens, Farah, and we've been through this process already. I will send an email to the board. You guys will receive a package with all these referral materials. And 60 days from Wednesday, we're expecting you guys to send us your determination, whatever that may be. And then from then, a few days or a few weeks after that, the CPC or the City Planning Commission will vote on the application. So as of right now, there has not been a determination by the City Planning Commission.
Well, it seems to me, I don't know that we can formally act until CPC refers it to us. Am I wrong?
Yes, that is correct. I do, and I think I spoke to John already, and we did clarify that this would not count officially as a hearing for ULURP because they have not been referred out yet. But we do have the practice of encouraging applicants and applicant teams to reach out to community boards as soon as possible and speak and start conversations in terms of, what you guys would like to see, questions that you have. The earlier, the better. Especially for CB8, I know it's a board that really likes to be in the know of what's going on. But for now, this has not been referred out, so it would not count officially as a ULURP hearing.
But I'll add also that this is a non-ULURP project. So
Yes, that is correct.
But it hasn't been officially referred to us yet, though.
well,
So let me make this suggestion.
What-
If you can get the documents I have requested by Friday, we can act on it at the board meeting on the 14th. If you cannot get them for us by Friday, we will see you again You don't need to bring the client, we will be fine. So formally, we would then act on it at the next or June board meeting and June land use meeting. Follow that? If I don't have it technically referred.
I do.
I cannot act. If you don't give us the materials, I cannot act. Either if you don't give them by Friday the 10th. But I will then act at the next meeting, which is in June, and the board meeting in June, so that you do not get held up over the summer,
Understood and appreciated.
right?
Yes. We'll do our best to get, we're waiting for another agency approval. We'll do our best to secure that, as well as the neighbor discussions. We'll talk offline with Jeremy and Sam.
Yeah, yeah, and because I see that that stone retaining wall is in the neighbor's property. Is that going to be affected at all during construction?
No.
When you guys remove that tree?
We're not removing the tree. The tree is staying.
The X, in drawing 107, right, you have an X as if it's eliminating that?
We are
Or
required to
replacing
show that, we call that a soft X. We are required to show that as eliminated for the city planning regulations. And we are required to plant more trees because we show that as a tree that doesn't count. But we have no intention of taking that tree down.
Okay. Now counted towards the credit, but not that you're removing it. Okay, I get it. All right. So, no, I hope you know.
So let me recapitulate. You will get us the documents I mentioned earlier. If you get them to us by this coming Friday, we can act assuming that city planning has formally referred it to us. We can act on the 14th. If we don't get the documents by this Friday and we don't have all the approvals in place by then, it'll go over to June and we will act on it before the summer recess. Fair enough?
Understood, very much appreciated. And we'll get you everything as quickly as possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Field.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll sign off.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said to most of you before, I believe this is the only item requiring a vote. Am I correct?
Thank you.
I'll deal with the minutes before I go. Marty's going to take over at this point. Pearl is not doing well, so I got to get back. On the minutes, do I have any questions, objections, concerns respecting the minutes of the meeting of March 11, 2024? Yes, Bob.
I think under discussion, it says, Board member hopes that Bronx Community Board 8 takes great pride in the historic step to clean the Hudson River because this is about the daylighting. I don't know what the person actually said, but it's the Harlem River and not the Hudson River.
What's a little river name?
Do them both.
Well, I mean, they do, one does flow into the other, so, yeah. So it will affect both. Ultimately. It's, I've circled it, I'll show it to you. Here, you can have this. Down below under discussion.
Anything else? Yeah, just a minor thing. Why do we put in board member instead of the person's name?
Because
It's
that's
taken from a
what I was
recording.
told early on, a long time ago. We talk about discussions and we don't put names of everybody in
Yeah.
there.
Because if one wants to follow up on that which they've read in the minutes, the only way they're gonna find out who the person was is you're gonna have to go back to a Zoom, and that seems like an unnecessary step. It's one thing not, if a community member speaks, they may not want to be identified, whatever, I'm not so concerned. But if a board member speaks, I think we should identify them, particularly since we're writing board member.
There are people who would say, I want this in the record.
Right.
And once you start doing that, you lose control.
Okay. okay? That's not my point. If we are,
That's what happened.
The discussion is what
Hold on a
we're
moment, please. If we are going to the trouble of saying board member, why don't we just simply say John Smith?
Because I'm telling you, Mary Smith will want her code too.
Okay?
Okay. So issue.
recording, this is not a transcript.
Okay. That is great.
One more thing. I note the presence on the Zoom of Ted Weinstein, preeminent expert on housing in this town. Ted, anything to tell us?
No, I'm just,
Ed?
just wanting to listen, to, whatever, and I saw there was a reference to the, City of Yes, which I know there's a meeting, you have a separate committee meeting later in the month. So, just here to listen, thank you.
Ted, let me tell you, I look forward to your presence, and let me give you a little bit of a hint where I am. I like nostalgia, but the grand jury in 1965 said tenements are not in, and neither are SROs, because they cause fires and they cause other crimes. And therefore, I, as building commissioner, then proceeded to condemn over 100 of those SROs. If you think I'm going to support that now, you're off your mind. I think you know me well enough to know that. Secondly, I'm not a great fan of enriching garages, even in local communities. If people can put up parking and get parking, they should get it. Again, I suspect you will hear that tone iterated by at least a majority of this special committee and of the board. And lastly, I think you have a wrong description of this proposal. It is one that provides increased density across the city of New York at a time where you really don't have any demonstrated academic showing of a need for massively increased density, the same kind of density we had in the tenement years. And so I refer to this as the city of yesterday, not yes. And so you know where my head is at. I never hide from you. Nobody ever should. You are the expert in the area. So if you would prepare yourself, you and I will have some fun on the 23rd.
Well, we're looking forward actually at city planning's presentation that you're beginning. But it is my intention to be present that night as well, so that if there are specific questions concerning housing that might be done as a result of these changes in the text, then that's why I would be present as well. But it's basically going to be, city planning is in better shape to answer some of these things than I am. But we certainly look forward to a good discussion.
Let me answer that. I believe this is an area, much of this, that is within the province of the housing experts, not of city planning. City planning doesn't have that kind of expertise, and the last time it went down this kind of a road, it had the good sense to bring in expertise from the institutions that were involved, whether they were Cooper Union or NYU or even Columbia, notwithstanding Columbia's other problems. But the point I'm trying to make is, I really would like to get the opinion from the housing people. I don't really much care about the opinion of the politicians at City Planning Commission. Just so you know where I am. All right?
Yes, understood.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you?
Motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Oh, minutes as amended. Do I have any objections? All those, and hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded? Done. Please forgive me again. Thank you.
Your best to Pearl.
Best to Pearl.
Yeah, give her our best.
Okay, so we did SNAD, we did approval.
All right.
Into an introduction, but thank you, hi. Jessica, what's your name? Lynn, Jessica, nice to meet you, Lynn. Thank you for coming.
To see that.
For weeks and months, because this makes, I had to go out to
because Frank told me to go out and condemn those buildings. And I condemned, on the west side of Manhattan alone, I looked up the number the other day, over 60 buildings. And now they want to put more SROs in?
It's effectively what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's have that discussion when we have that discussion. I mean, yeah, I think we can agree on some things, but it's not all terrible, right? Like, I believe in mixed use, I believe on, you know, like, we can do a little bit more.
That's different from what he's talking about.
So.
Well, right, SROs, ADUs, garage units, right, that's,
I'm concerned about density, I'm concerned.
I am concerned about density also.
Absolutely.
And infrastructure, right, like.
Vitriolic on the subject of, SROs. I went personally through every one of the buildings I condemned. I didn't have to, I could send a deputy. I went personally, and those condemnation orders were hand-signed by me. I remember going through those West Side buildings. Yesterday, I drove on 95th Street between West End Avenue and Riverside Drive, and I remember the buildings I had condemned at the time. And the reason I remembered it was in one house, Oakland's office told me we picked up a dozen brothels.
Oh, listen, the first apartment I lived in Manhattan, I lived next door to it. Yeah, I lived next door to a building full of SROs, so, yeah, I understand.
You know, I think we should follow what we did with ZQA about 10 years ago, where city planning came, we didn't vote that same night. We had a subsequent meeting.
We'll have to have a special meeting, could it be in the summer?
Right, but what I'm saying, we didn't vote the night we heard that,
I
but to
agree.
process it and to discuss it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is not gonna be, this isn't going to be resolved at one meeting.
No, it's not at all.
I'm saying, with ZQA, we had a second meeting, and then that's where we voted, although it's not as.
As never happened, but.
We have two more bullets.
Congressman from the district at the time was William Fitzryan, who I loved.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
Bill Ryan was not quite as good as Richie Torres, but damn close. Okay? Bill Ryan came to my office. Said, "You gotta clean this area up. I need it done." The next day, I went out with the units that were doing the inspection to make sure that they were each followed up quickly. It still took us a while. But I don't forget that sort of stuff. And I don't see how you can go down that road again. And if you want to see why, there's a place called the Tenement House Museum.
Yes, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Look at it and you'll see exactly what this leads to.
Yeah.
No.
Just so you know, the meeting, we can schedule it at Intech Academy for the city of Yes.
Of what?
Oh, that's great.
Intech.
We have a venue,
City of yesterday.
City of Yesterday.
So hoping
For your indulgence, I do apologize.
No problem.
So hoping to, adjourn this meeting at a reasonable time.
We just have two, the report on STAG, and then, right, the conversation, preliminary conversation in City of Yes, which kind of happened. But I thought we would talk more about, like, how are we gonna frame the meeting so we give every proposal, like, a voice? Because it's like, okay, I get it, like, we don't like SROs, ADUs, we don't want garage units, we don't even have the infrastructure in place, right? Like, density's an issue, but, like, there are some good. So I don't know if Ted wants to speak, like, what would be valuable, what we don't like or what we like? But,
You have the chair?
no, sir.
I just wanna make a chat, now.
All right, number 4, or number,
Let's go back to our agenda. Number 1, roll call, we can't do, roll call didn't really exist. And Nick.
Didn't exist. Right, I agree, that did happen.
Okay.
I mean, you have the sheet and sign in,
Yeah.
so we had a quorum. We do not have a quorum at present.
That's correct.
Introduction of guests, well, our guest also came and left. Approval of minutes have been taken care of. We took care of SNAD, report of subcommittee, I'm working on STAG. The fence, if you have not walked by, the fence is down, the sidewalk shed is down. Darn, come on.
sculpture.
If you have not seen this, help. I have not seen the sculpture. That's what it looks like. Now, if I was confused before, and Ted is still there, I still don't know what AMI means, because it was an ad 2 weeks ago in the Riverdale Press, announcing that the lottery is available, the amount of monies required to rent an apartment. In many languages, applications are due by May 21st, I believe.
For the STAG site?
The STAG site.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of distribution this has had other than the Riverdale Press. I don't know if you can walk by and pick papers up. There will be a meeting next week, I hope. And I also hope that apparently there's been a problem between Department of Buildings and STAG, because STAG is looking for a permanent C of O. And if there's a permanent C of O, our next meeting will be inside. And if not, I have no idea what street corner we'll meet on. But looking at these prices, I know there are places in Riverdale that cost less. So I don't know what the word affordable means. So, and it's in various languages, in case you can help me interpret that way. Okay, Farah?
Just to add to that, we have gotten a lot of calls on that they're questioning the pricing, because it's not affordable at all for a lot of people. But they all called in to ask what the prices were, because they didn't believe what they were seeing in the papers. Just to give you a little background of who's calling our office.
Well, Marty, isn't it the case that there's a certain percentage that's affordable? It's not 100% affordable housing, is it?
No.
20% generally.
That's, yeah, right, exactly. It's usually that, yeah.
Well, I mean, it is around 30% of the AMI, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had discussions
Right.
about how the AMI is determined, and everybody's unhappy with it, and I think rightly so.
I can make a copy.
That's not, in my mind, that's not affordable housing.
The other distinguishing
Characteristic of the building is that it's got a color panel light on the roof that goes all four sides, that you can see from the Henry Hudson Parkway driving south. And I noticed last night that I can see it from my apartment on Palisade Avenue.
Congratulations.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
there you
think
go.
I don't think it's a positive addition to the.
So add it to our agenda,
right.
Jay.
Yeah.
And now we have outstanding business and preliminary conversation. Let's try and focus this conversation. Go ahead.
Sorry, did you say you were up to new business?
No.
We're up to outstanding business.
I have something under new business. Okay. I just want to say that 6661 Broadway is going to be under construction soon. The scaffolding is up. I was over there. I sent a picture of the demolition notice, which I understand they have to notify the neighbors. Nobody has called me or emailed me, Laura, we got a demolition notice, so I haven't heard that. But like any project, I'm hoping that we could get the developer in to talk about the plan, to talk about the staging, to talk about all the things that we talk about with every, any development. So I wanted to throw that out there. The builder, the developer for the homeless shelter. I'm sorry, I should have said that 6661 Broadway is the homeless shelter. And if you want to see the space they own, it goes all the way around behind Broadway. It's quite an extensive piece, but it's also very close to the private houses behind it. So that's what I wrote Chuck this morning, that I'm hoping, I know everybody's crazy with City of Yes, but I hope that we could attempt to get more information on that in the phase that we're in now, the construction phase, entering.
Jessica, you had your own agenda?
No, I just wanted to speak on the number 5, right? Like, So I don't understand what it is that we're gonna do as a committee to address the fact that this is not affordable housing.
Number 6.
I know,
No,
we
number
jumped to
5.
number 6 already, right, so I didn't get a chance to ask a question.
It's a private developer who is renting out their houses. Obviously, this satisfies whatever grant was given to them. And there's nothing we can do other than if people don't rent it, they'll have to lower the price.
Okay, so so we can't do anything, essentially.
Our role in all of this, and David has been part of the committee, has been to try and provide the community's voice in the construction phase and bringing them ideas. Some of our ideas have turned into, there are now, there's a deck on the roof and there's a deck on the side for the tenants to use for recreation. We've talked about a lot of things. We're still playing with the driveway and how that works, whether or not it's safe enough. But as to the construction itself, it was never in our domain.
An AMI is, you know, whatever the rule is. You know,
Be called affordable, right, so
I-
it's not affordable housing.
I don't know if the ranges that they're using, are desirable, because I think that the AMI ranges are odd because they can vary, I think, you know, in terms of the area you include, in terms of, I think that number can change in terms of the number of apartments set aside, et cetera, but those are existing rules. What did you say?
Affordable housing.
The HPD?
AMI is HPD.
Their rules are, the AMI rules are HPD,
For
okay.
that many units,
That's
for
what
the
that's-
rest are all.
Is that correct, Ted? Your hand is raised. Is that correct?
The AMIs are established, it's a little more complicated, it's not an easy explanation, but basically HUD has for each metropolitan area around the country, each year, they establish what is the area median income. In other words, 100% and what's called the 100% of the AMI is the median by definition. And then what happens is, certainly in New York, is we then, for buildings that are developed using our financing, so the rents are established, the income levels established and the rents are established based on percentages of that, of the median of the 100%. So typically in the Bronx, buildings that are financed through HPD or HDC programs have units that range from about 30% of the AMI to generally now about 80 or 90% of the AMI. In other areas of the city, in other neighborhoods, they might go a little higher, they might go a little lower, but generally there's that kind of a range within a building. What you're seeing in the case of this building is, which did not use HPD financing, it is using the 421A program, the tax incentive program. And the law requires that if you use that program, a percentage of the units have to become within, or income restricted, according to the AMIs. It means the rest of the units, he can charge whatever he wants. So what you're seeing in the ad is, they say 130%. That's the maximum that can be charged for those units, for the so-called 421A units, the so-called affordable units.
So the actual rental for the other 70% could be much higher than that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
That's what fair market luxury housing.
Yeah. Ted, did you say that, it was my understanding that the AMI had to do with a certain area, like the metropolitan area of New York City. But what you said before, it sounded like it could be differentiated in different parts of the area because you referred to the Bronx, for example.
No. It's established for the metropolitan area as defined by HUD. One of the arguments that there often is that it's not just New York, it's not just the Bronx or particular districts or neighborhoods. It includes a few of the other surrounding counties as well, which people then argue, since those are generally higher income, it's what makes the AMI for New York higher. That could be true, except that since, and if you use our programs, HPD programs, we use a percentage of the AMI. If income eligibility was based solely on 100% of the AMI all the time, that would be a problem. That would be wrong. But we don't do that. Like I said, generally in the Bronx, buildings that are built using our financing programs have units that range from about 30%. They could be at different levels. There could be some units at 30% of the AMI, some at 40 or 50% of the AMI, some at 60, some at 70, some at 80. They could be higher, but that's not what we feel is affordable or marketable in most of the Bronx.
So the HPD has a certain amount of discretion to interpret the AMI. Is that correct?
Not so much the AMI, but to decide if a building is using our financing, we could say to that developer, well, you're building in an area that's more marketable, maybe you can go a little bit higher, or you're building in an area that's less marketable, more of the units, and it's not like it's an even distribution. It could be half the building could be at 30% of AMI and only a small amount, let's say at 80%, or in an area, frankly, like Riverdale, it could be the reverse. You could have somewhat more units at 70 or 80% of AMI and some at 30, some lesser ones at 30. So it's the distribution that's more flexible, not the geographic area and not the numbers themselves in terms of the AMIs. I'll just make the comment that AMIs have gone up, median incomes have gone up a lot over the last few years, including this past year. It's like the AMI is probably like about $60,000 a year more than it was just about 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow. All right. Thank you for the explanation.
Thanks,
I'll give
Ted.
you just one quick other example. I used to push more in the Bronx for more buildings having some units at, let's say, 100% of AMI, because I felt that that type of a mixed income was a good public policy. I'm less inclined to do that now because the AMIs themselves have gone up a lot. So, again, instead of typically like from 30% to 100%, the buildings that we finance now are more likely 30% to 80%.
Thank you.
Getting back to City of Yesterday, I just note with appreciation that Councilmember Dinowitz on Thursday, I remember, Thursday or Friday, had a session with city planning, explaining and giving the opportunity for members of the community to raise serious questions. I was not able to stay for the entire time, but I'm more inclined to lean toward what Chuck said, but I'm waiting for a more open discussion to hear other people's points of view. Julie set up a committee which is quite varied in its membership, and so I'm sure all sides will be heard, and certainly members of the community will attend and perhaps have the opportunity to speak. Chuck usually allows that, so we shall learn. And I know his complaint in the past about mother-daughter houses where they convert basements into fire traps and no significant egress, and that's bothered him for years, and so it's of that concern now too. So, is there anything you want to add that I cut you short before?
Yeah, sure. I just want to know, right, we've identified that we're going to need more than one meeting, right? But do we even have that time? Or,
So when the group meets, they will establish their own calendar.
Okay.
How many times they have to meet, how many presentations we'd like to have. All that will be up to the committee to decide. Obviously, this is not a one-session discussion. And more information keeps coming in. Okay, Laura?
I just want to say there are a number of proposals specifically for lower density, R1 through 5, and then 6 through 10, transit zones, town centers, all kinds of new proposals. And I've been watching and learning since they've had, I don't know how many other people were able to go on their special
Yeah, the workshops that they had, yeah.
that they had. So, you know, because to come in cold is
Too much.
difficult.
Mhm.
So much, absolutely so much. So, where did you say we're gonna meet on the
23rd.
23rd,
Where?
it's gonna be at Intech Academy.
Oh, that's good.
They wanna, Julie and Chuck wanna have the public hearing that day. So we wanna have DCP present, public hearing, and then the full committee meeting. All at Intech.
Thursday.
The auditorium or in a classroom?
In the same place we went, it's the library, I believe. Yep.
Oh.
Mhm.
All right, is there any other new or outstanding business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mm-hmm.
Any objections? The hands go up, okay.
Are you gonna
Adjourned.
Okay.
Julie, don't hang up. Julie.